Did you know that something as simple as counting backwards from 5 might be more powerful than any anxiety medication at stopping your racing thoughts in their tracks? What if I told you that doctors are now discovering that the anxiety techniques your grandmother might have dismissed as silly old-fashioned habits are actually backed by Harvard Medical School research and are being prescribed by cardiologists to prevent heart attacks? Here is the shocking truth about anxiety relief that most people over 60 never discover. Those gentle breathing exercises and muscle relaxation methods that seem almost too simple to work are actually activating your body's most powerful natural anxiety-fighting system, your parasympathetic nervous system, while younger people reach for complicated apps and expensive treatments. You have access to 3 techniques that have been scientifically proven to reduce anxiety symptoms by up to 30% in seniors. And the best part is they work faster than any prescription medication without a single side effect. Hello there, and what a genuine pleasure it is to be with you today. I can honestly say that sharing these anxiety relief techniques with people who truly deserve to feel calm and peaceful brings me so much joy. Today is all about empowerment, not fear-mongering. We are going to explore 3 simple, proven methods that you can seamlessly weave into your daily routine without disrupting anything you are already doing. I have spent over 15 years observing patterns in anxiety management, and I can tell you with complete confidence that the techniques we will cover today work particularly well for adults over 60 because they honor both your wisdom and your body's natural healing capabilities. These are not complicated procedures requiring special equipment or expensive memberships. Let me ask you something. Do you ever find yourself lying awake at 3 in the morning, your mind spinning with worries about your health, your family, or your finances? Does your heart sometimes race for no apparent reason, leaving you feeling exhausted and overwhelmed? Maybe you have noticed that everyday situations that never bothered you before now trigger feelings of unease or panic. If any of this sounds familiar, you are certainly not alone. 20% of adults over 60 experience anxiety symptoms, and most never realize how quickly and naturally these feelings can be managed. Please share in the comments what triggers your anxiety most often, because your experience matters and might help someone else. In the next few minutes, I am going to share 3 scientifically backed techniques that hundreds of thousands of older adults have used successfully to regain control over their anxiety. These methods integrate beautifully into your existing routine, whether you are watching television, sitting in a waiting room, or preparing for sleep. The first technique takes only 90 seconds. The second can be done while reading your morning newspaper. And the third works instantly during moments of panic. The first technique is called the 4-7-8 breathing method. And it is so remarkably simple that you might wonder how something this easy could be so powerful. Dr. Andrew Weil, the integrative medicine specialist who popularized this technique, calls it a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system. But here is what makes this particularly exciting for people over 60. While this method helps anyone feel calmer, research published in the journal Applied Psychophysiology and Biofeedback shows that it is especially effective for older adults because it works with your body's natural wisdom rather than against it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Breathing exercises sound too simple to handle real anxiety. But let me explain exactly what happens in your body when you practice the 4-7-8 method. When you extend your exhale longer than your inhale, you activate your vagus nerve, which is like a master switch that tells your entire nervous system to shift from fight or flight mode into rest and digest mode. Your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure decreases, and your mind naturally becomes clearer and calmer. A study conducted at Thailand's Medical University with 43 participants found that just 6 cycles of 4-7-8 breathing significantly improved heart rate and blood pressure within minutes. What makes this even more remarkable is that the beneficial effects increased with practice. Unlike anxiety medications, which can lose effectiveness over time, the 4-7-8 breathing method actually becomes more powerful the more you use it. Here is exactly how to practice this technique. First, sit comfortably with your back straight, or if you are using this to help with sleep, lie down in bed. Throughout the entire exercise, place the tip of your tongue gently against the roof of your mouth, just behind your top front teeth. Start by exhaling completely through your mouth, making a soft whoosh sound. Now close your mouth and quietly inhale through your nose for a mental count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Then exhale through your mouth for a count of 8, making that gentle whoosh sound again. This completes 1 cycle. Repeat this 3 more times for a total of 4 cycles. A word of caution, it actually shows how powerful this technique is. You might feel slightly lightheaded when you first try this method. This is completely normal and simply means your body is learning to relax in a new way. If you experience any dizziness, simply return to normal breathing and try again later with shorter counts. The key is consistency, not perfection. What I find most beautiful about the 4-7-8 method is that you can use it anywhere. Whether you are sitting in your doctor's waiting room, feeling nervous about test results, lying in bed with your mind racing about tomorrow's responsibilities, or feeling overwhelmed while watching the evening news, this technique is always available to you. But this is just the beginning of how your body can naturally overcome anxiety. The second technique we are going to explore takes this calming effect even deeper by working with your muscles in a way that most people have never experienced. The second technique is called Jacobson's Progressive Muscle Relaxation, and it is based on a fascinating discovery made by Dr. Edmund Jacobson in the 1920s. He found that anxiety cannot exist in a body that is truly relaxed, and more importantly, he discovered that you can teach your mind to relax by first deliberately tensing and then releasing your muscles. This might sound counterintuitive, but it works because the contrast between tension and release helps your nervous system recognize what deep relaxation actually feels like. Recent research published in the Iranian Journal of Nursing and Midwifery Research followed 34 adults, over 60 living in nursing homes. After 8 weeks of practicing progressive muscle relaxation just once per week, participants experienced statistically significant reductions in anxiety and remarkable increases in happiness levels. The mean happiness scores increased by over 40%, and these improvements lasted long after the study ended. Now, you might be wondering why this technique works so well for people in their 60s and beyond. As we age, we often carry physical tension in our muscles without realizing it. Years of stress, worry, and physical changes can create chronic muscle tightness that actually signals to our brain that we should be anxious. Progressive muscle relaxation breaks this cycle by teaching your muscles how to truly let go. The science behind this is quite elegant. When you deliberately tense a muscle group and then release that tension, you activate something called the relaxation response. This response floods your body with endorphins, lowers cortisol levels, and activates your parasympathetic nervous system more effectively than almost any other natural method. Here is how to practice progressive muscle relaxation safely and effectively. Begin by finding a comfortable position, either sitting in a supportive chair or lying down on your bed. Start with your feet. Tense the muscles in your feet and toes by curling your toes and tightening your arches. Hold this tension for exactly 5 seconds, really feeling the tightness. Now release suddenly and completely, allowing your feet to become totally limp and relaxed. Notice the contrast between the tension and the relaxation. Move up to your calf muscles. Tense them by pointing your toes toward your shins. Hold for 5 seconds, then release completely. Continue this process with your thigh muscles and your buttocks, your abdominal muscles, your hands, by making fists, your arms, your shoulders by lifting them toward your ears, and finally your face by squeezing your eyes shut and clenching your jaw. The entire process takes about 15 to 20 minutes, making it perfect for your evening routine or any time you have a quiet moment. Many people find it particularly helpful while listening to gentle music or even during commercial breaks of their favorite television programs. What makes this technique especially valuable for managing anxiety is that it gives you a physical tool for emotional regulation. When you feel anxiety starting to build, you can immediately tense and release just the muscle groups that feel most tight, creating instant relief. Research shows that people who practice this technique regularly report feeling more confident in their ability to handle stressful situations because they have a reliable method for calming their body and mind. Progressive muscle relaxation also improves sleep quality significantly. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Nursing found that older adults who practiced this technique fell asleep faster and enjoyed deeper, more restorative sleep. Better sleep, in turn, makes you naturally more resilient to anxiety during the day. But sometimes anxiety strikes suddenly, without warning, and you need something that works instantly. That is where our third technique becomes absolutely invaluable, offering immediate relief when panic threatens to overwhelm you. The third technique is called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method, and it is your emergency anxiety tool. When panic strikes or your mind starts spiraling with worried thoughts, this technique can bring you back to calm stability in less than 3 minutes. What makes this method particularly brilliant is that it works by hijacking your anxiety response and redirecting it toward your immediate environment. Here is why this technique is so effective, especially for people over 60. Anxiety often involves your mind racing ahead to future worries or getting stuck replaying past events. The 5-4-3-2-1 method forces your attention back to the present moment by engaging all 5 of your senses. Research published in Clinical Psychology Review shows that this type of sensory grounding activates your parasympathetic nervous system and interrupts the fight or flight response almost immediately. The technique works by having you identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This systematic engagement of your senses accomplishes something remarkable. It shifts your brain from the emotional center where anxiety lives to the logical, observational center where calm reasoning happens. Let me walk you through exactly how to use this method. Start by looking around and naming 5 things you can see. Really focus on details you might normally overlook. Perhaps you notice the grain pattern in a wooden table, the way light reflects off a picture frame, the texture of fabric on a chair, the color variations in a plant leaf, or the shadows cast by objects in your room. Take your time with each observation. Next, identify 4 things you can touch. You might feel the smooth surface of your phone, the soft texture of your clothing, the cool temperature of a doorknob, or the rough grain of a wooden surface. Actually reach out and touch these items if possible, as the physical contact strengthens the grounding effect. Now, focus on 3 things you can hear. This might include the hum of your refrigerator, birds singing outside your window, the distant sound of traffic, your own breathing, or the ticking of a clock. Sometimes you will discover sounds in your environment that you had not consciously noticed before. For 2 things you can smell, you might notice the scent of coffee, fresh air from an open window, the fragrance of soap on your hands, or the clean smell of laundry. If you cannot immediately identify scents, it is perfectly fine to walk to another room or step outside briefly. Finally, identify 1 thing you can taste. This might be the lingering flavor of something you drank, the taste of toothpaste, or even just the neutral taste inside your mouth. What makes this technique particularly powerful is that it can be used anywhere, anytime, without anyone knowing you are practicing an anxiety management method. You can use it while sitting in a waiting room, riding in a car as a passenger, or even during social situations when you feel overwhelmed. Research conducted at the University of Rochester Medical Center found that people who regularly practice grounding techniques like the 5-4-3-2-1 method report a 60% reduction in anxiety symptoms and significantly improved emotional regulation. The technique becomes more effective with practice, creating a reliable tool you can always count on. These three techniques, the 4-7-8 breathing method, progressive muscle relaxation, and the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique, work synergistically to give you complete control over anxiety. The breathing method calms your nervous system. The muscle relaxation releases physical tension, and the grounding technique brings you immediately back to the present moment. Together, they create a comprehensive toolkit that addresses anxiety from every angle. What I want you to remember is that managing anxiety is not about perfection. It is about progress. Some days the 4-7-8 breathing will feel most natural. Other days you might gravitate toward muscle relaxation. And sometimes you will need the quick relief of grounding. Trust your instincts and use whatever technique feels right in the moment. You deserve to feel calm, peaceful, and in control of your emotions. These techniques are not temporary fixes. They are life skills that become more powerful with practice. Start with whichever method feels most appealing to you. Practice it for a few days, and gradually incorporate the others. Within just 1 week, you will notice a significant difference in how you respond to stressful situations. If this video helped you understand how naturally and effectively you can manage anxiety, please give it a thumbs up so others can find these techniques. Subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based wellness strategies designed specifically for people who value practical, proven solutions. And most importantly, share in the comments which technique you are most excited to try, because your journey toward better emotional well-being might inspire someone else to take that same important step. Until we meet again, remember that you have everything within you right now to feel calmer, stronger, and more peaceful. Take care of yourself. You are absolutely worth it.